The notification came in at 7:14 a.m., right in that thin slice of morning when the world hasn't decided to be loud yet. My phone buzzed once on the nightstand, a soft vibration against cheap wood, and I reached for it with the lazy confidence of someone who believes the night ended normally. The blinds were barely leaking light. The air smelled like stale heat and detergent from the building's laundry room down the hall. I unlocked the screen and saw the app banner at the top, like a bruise. Motion detected. Front door camera 3:12 a.m. I frowned. Not scared yet, just irritated. I'd installed the camera 2 weeks earlier after a neighbor mentioned someone had been testing handles on our floor. The building wasn't dangerous, but it was old, and old buildings have a way of collecting strange stories, the way corners collect dust. My camera sat on a shelf in the hallway, facing the front door and the short corridor that led to my bedroom. Most nights it recorded nothing. Sometimes it caught a shadow from passing headlights through the kitchen window and tried to label it as a person. Sometimes it picked up my own movement when I went to the bathroom at night. I tapped the clip. Grainy black and white night vision filled the screen. The hallway looked exactly like it always did. My doormat, the edge of the kitchen counter, the narrow strip of wall where I'd hung a cheap print. The nightlight near the bathroom cast a dull glow over the floor like a weak candle. For a few seconds, nothing happened, and I almost closed the video. Then the front door handle turned. Slowly. The door creaked open, and someone walked out of my apartment. The clip ended 15 seconds later. I stared at the frozen last frame and waited for my brain to produce the easy answer. A glitch, old footage, a mislabeled event, a neighbor's door somehow triggering my camera. But the person in the clip wasn't outside my apartment. They weren't walking past the door. They were inside it. The door opened from my side. The figure stepped into the hall and moved out of view toward the stairs like they were leaving their own home. I live alone. I replayed it immediately, then again. Then I scrubbed frame by frame with my thumb. The person's silhouette was tall, broad shoulders, a dark jacket. Their head turned slightly toward the camera just before they left the frame, and for a split second their eyes caught the infrared, like an animal's, bright and reflective. Then the door closed gently, not slammed, not yanked, just eased shut, like whoever it was didn't want to wake anyone, like they cared. I sat up so fast my sheets tangled around my legs. I went into the hallway in real life, half expecting to catch someone lingering at the end of the corridor. The apartment was normal. Still. The front door was closed. I checked the lock. Deadbolt engaged. Chain hanging exactly where I'd left it. I tested the door anyway. It didn't budge. The rational part of me tried to rescue the moment. Sleepwalking, it suggested. People do strange things. You're stressed. You're new here. You could have done it and not remembered. But the figure in the video was wearing a jacket I didn't own, and they moved with a calmness that didn't match the way I move when I'm half awake. That morning at work, the clip sat in my head like a splinter. I watched it again on my lunch break, zooming in until the pixels broke apart. I couldn't see a face, just the bright flare of eyes and the angle of shoulders. I told myself again and again it had to be a bug. I even Googled the camera model and read forums about ghost notifications and duplicated clips. People complained about weird things all the time. False motion detection, timestamp errors, clips that didn't match reality. By the end of the day, I'd almost convinced myself. Then the next morning, the notification was there again. Motion detected. Front door camera. 3:12 a.m. My stomach tightened before I even opened the app. Flash of reflective eyes. The door closing. The same person stepping out. The same slow turn of the handle. The same hallway. The same nightlight. The same subtle turn of the head. The same flash of reflective eyes. The door closing gently. 2 nights in a row. I scrolled the history. The camera stored 2 weeks of clips. I searched by time. 3:12 a.m., 3:12 a.m., 3:12 a.m. 4 nights back, the same event. Then 5. Then 6. It hadn't started last night. It had been happening for at least a week. Every night at exactly 3:12 a.m., someone left my apartment. And I had slept through it. That night I didn't go to bed. I sat on the couch with every light on, the camera feed open on my phone like a heartbeat monitor. The apartment felt too quiet in a way I couldn't describe. Not peaceful. Suspended. Like the air was waiting for a cue. Around 2:50, my eyes began to sting from staring at the screen. I kept forcing myself to blink slowly, to keep my mind from making shapes out of shadows. 3:10 a.m. My mouth went dry. 3:11. Nothing moved. The hallway on the screen was empty. The front door was closed. 3:12. The door handle turned. Right there on the live feed. Slowly, like the hand turning it wasn't in a hurry. The door opened a few inches, and then it stopped. No one stepped out. No silhouette appeared. The doorway stayed empty like a mouth hanging open. It remained open for several seconds. I could see into the dim building hall beyond my threshold. Just darkness and the faint line of the carpet. Then the door slowly, gently closed again. My heart hammered so hard I thought I'd throw up. I got up and walked to the door in real life. It was closed, locked, chain still hanging. I put my hand on the handle. Warm. Not, the room is warm, warm. Warm like skin had been there. That should have been enough to make me leave the building immediately. But fear does something strange. Once it's in you, you start trying to solve it instead of escaping it. You want it to have rules, because rules mean you can survive. The next day I bought a second camera and a pack of cheap window alarms. I installed the bedroom camera facing my bed and placed the tiny alarms on the front door and the bedroom door so they'd chirp if opened. I also set my phone to record audio all night, not because I thought it would help, but because I needed more evidence than my own perception. That night I forced myself into bed like it was a job. I lay there with my eyes open, listening to the building breathe. Pipes clicked in the walls. Someone's TV murmured faintly through a neighboring unit. My door alarms sat silent. My cameras blinked their tiny red lights. I kept telling myself, if something opens the door, the alarm will chirp. If something enters, I'll hear it. I woke to my phone buzzing at 7:13 a.m. 2 notifications. Motion detected. Bedroom camera 3:11 a.m. Motion detected. Front door camera 3:12 a.m. My hands shook so hard I almost dropped the phone. I opened the bedroom clip first. The camera showed me asleep, a lump under blankets, face turned toward the wall. The bedroom door was closed. The timestamp in the corner read 3:10:58 a.m. Nothing happened for 2 seconds. Then the bedroom door handle turned. The door opened slowly. No alarm chirped. My stomach dropped. A figure stepped into the room. Tall, dark jacket, calm movement, the same silhouette. They walked to the side of my bed and stood there. Just watching. Not touching. Not leaning. Not reaching. Watching like they were making sure I was there. After several seconds, the figure turned and walked back out. The door closed softly behind them. Still no alarm. The clip ended. I sat in bed staring at my phone like it was a live grenade. Then I opened the hallway clip. 3:12 a.m. The front door opened. The figure stepped out. The door closed gently. My throat went tight. I replayed both clips back to back. The timing was too perfect. Bedroom at 3:11, door at 3:12. Like a routine, like a schedule. Then I noticed something that made my blood go cold. The way the figure tilted their head while standing over my bed. The way their right shoulder sat slightly higher than the left. The faint drag of the right foot when they turned. It was familiar. It was my posture, my imbalance. I have an old ankle injury. My right foot drags when I'm tired. I've seen it in mirrors my whole life. My chest felt like it was filling with cement. I scrubbed the hallway clip to the moment the figure turned their head toward the camera. The infrared light caught the face for a split second longer than before. It was my face. Not perfectly clear, but unmistakably mine. But the bedroom clip still showed me asleep in bed. Two versions of me. One asleep, one awake. One standing beside the bed. One leaving the apartment. And the timestamps overlapped. I watched them side by side, my hands numb. At the exact moment the hallway camera showed me stepping out, the bedroom camera showed me still lying under the blankets. I didn't sleep the next night, or the one after that. Exhaustion became a buzzing electric thing behind my eyes, but I didn't let myself close them. I sat on the couch with the cameras open, a kitchen knife on the table like that was going to make a difference. At some point, around 2:30, the apartment began to feel wrong. Like the air had thickened slightly, the way it does before a thunderstorm, except there was no storm outside. My ears felt stuffed. The refrigerator hum sounded distant, muffled. The hallway looked darker than it should have, like light had a harder time reaching it. At 3:10, my heart started racing on its own. At 3:11, the bedroom camera feed flickered for half a second. The image returned, and the bedroom door handle turned. The door opened, and the figure stepped inside. I was awake this time, sitting 10 feet away in the living room, staring at the screen. The figure walked to the bed. Then it stopped. Slowly, it turned its head toward the camera. Toward me. The face moved into the infrared's clearer range. It was my face, but older, slightly thinner. Shadows under the eyes deeper. The skin looked paler, as if it hadn't seen sunlight in a long time. And it smiled. Not a friendly smile. Not even a happy one. A small smile like someone recognizing a pattern they expected to find. The figure leaned closer to the camera, as if it knew exactly where the lens was. As if it knew I was watching through it. Then its lips moved. No audio picked it up, but I saw the words shape themselves. I couldn't read them at first. My hands were shaking too hard. The figure stepped back, turned away, walked out of the bedroom. At 3:12, the hallway camera triggered. The front door opened. The figure walked out. Just before leaving frame, it turned its head toward the camera. The smile was wider now. And for a split second, the eyes didn't just reflect the infrared. They seemed to glow. Not bright, not supernatural neon. Just wrong. like light was coming from behind them, not bouncing off. Then the figure stepped out into the building hallway. The door closed gently, and I was alone in my apartment, sitting on the couch, breathing like I'd been underwater. I didn't call the police at first. I know that sounds insane, but I couldn't explain what I'd say. "Hello, officer." My security camera shows me leaving my apartment at night while I'm asleep inside. "Hello, there's a second version of me." I did call the building manager. I told him I thought someone had a key, that someone was opening my door at night. He sounded annoyed, then concerned when I insisted. He came up that afternoon with a master key and checked my locks. "Everything's solid," he said. "Deadbolt's good. Frame's good." "I want the locks changed," I said. He sighed like it was paperwork he didn't want. "Fine, tomorrow." "Today," I said. He looked at me then, really looked, and maybe saw how bad I looked. The dark circles, the shaking hands, the way I kept glancing at the hallway like I expected it to blink. He changed the cylinder that evening. New key. I tested it. Locked and unlocked it 10 times. That night I set up the camera again, plus a third one aimed at the front door from a different angle. I taped the door seam with a strip of paper, so if the door opened, the paper would tear. I piled a line of flour on the floor near the threshold, like some cliché horror movie. Because I wanted footprints. Because I wanted proof. At 3:11, the bedroom door opened on camera. No chirp. The alarms didn't go off. The figure stepped in. Same jacket. Same calm. It stood by the bed. Then it turned toward the camera. This time the lips moved more slowly, deliberately, as if it wanted me to understand. When I replayed it frame by frame later, I could finally read it. "Don't change it." At 3:12, the hallway camera triggered. The front door opened. The strip of paper tape did not tear. The door opened anyway, the chain still hanging, the deadbolt still engaged. The door opened like those things didn't exist. The figure stepped out. The flour on the floor remained undisturbed. No footprints. The door closed gently. My mouth went dry. My brain scrambled for any explanation that didn't involve admitting reality had a hole in it. The door can't open if the deadbolt is engaged. The chain can't hang if the door swings open. Flour must show footprints if someone steps through it. And yet on my screen it happened. Clean. Smooth. Like the door opened into something else and back again without touching the physical world. The next morning I called the police anyway. I didn't mention the duplicate me part. I said someone was entering my apartment at night and my camera showed them leaving. I said I felt unsafe. 2 officers came that afternoon. They were polite, professional, tired. They checked the locks. They asked about neighbors. They asked if I'd lost keys. They asked if I had enemies. I almost laughed. I showed them the hallway footage. They watched the figure leave at 3:12. One of them leaned closer to the phone screen. "You said you live alone?" "Yes," I said. "Could be you sleepwalking," he said, like he was trying to help. I swallowed. "Then why does it look like me? But I'm in bed on the other camera." He paused. "You have another camera?" I hesitated. Then I showed them the bedroom clip. Their faces changed, just slightly. The professional mask slipping enough to show confusion. The older officer cleared his throat. "Camera overlays can do weird things," he said, but he didn't sound convinced. The younger officer stared too long at the older version of my face, smiling into the lens. "That's unsettling," he admitted quietly. They left after making a report, promising to increase patrols and suggesting I stay with a friend. I did, for one night. I packed a bag and went to my friend's place across town. I didn't tell him the full story. I said someone had been messing with my door, and I needed to not be alone. At 3:12 a.m., my phone buzzed. Motion detected. Front door camera. I opened the clip with my heart in my throat. The hallway of my apartment appeared. The door opened. The figure walked out. Same jacket. Same calm. Then the door closed. Even though I wasn't there, my stomach dropped. I felt stupid for thinking leaving would break it. It wasn't tied to my sleep. It was tied to the apartment, or the time, or the routine. I didn't go back immediately in the morning. I stayed at my friend's until afternoon, then drove home with my hands sweating on the steering wheel. When I opened my apartment door, the air inside felt stale and wrong, like the place had been sealed too long. Everything looked normal, but the silence had a texture now. I checked the bedroom. The bed was made the way I left it. But when I stepped into the bathroom, I stopped. The mirror above the sink was fogged. Just a thin layer, like someone had taken a hot shower recently. The floor was dry. The towels were untouched. I touched the mirror. The fog smeared. It was warm. I backed out of the bathroom and shut the door like it could contain whatever that meant. That night I set up a new plan. Not a defensive plan. A trap. I left the cameras running. I left the lights off. I sat in the living room with my phone in my hand and a heavy chair wedged against the front door. Ridiculous, because I'd already watched the door ignore locks. But I needed to do something with my hands. At 3:08, the air thickened. My ears popped like I'd changed altitude. At 3:10, the hallway looked darker on camera than it should have. At 3:11, the bedroom door opened. The figure stepped inside. It stood by the bed. Then it turned toward the bedroom camera again. The smile was different this time. Less amused, more patient, like it was waiting for me to finally understand. Its lips moved. I watched, frozen. "You're late," it mouthed. I felt my blood go cold. At 3:12, the hallway camera triggered. The front door opened. The figure stepped out. But this time, instead of walking away toward the stairs, it stopped in the doorway and looked back inside, as if checking whether something had followed. Then it turned and walked back in. It closed the door behind it, and it started walking down the hallway toward the living room. Toward me. I didn't breathe. My lungs refused. The hallway camera showed the figure moving closer. The living room camera, my third one, caught the edge of its silhouette entering frame. Then the feed glitched. Both videos stuttered. The images froze for half a second. And in that half second, I heard something in the real apartment. Footsteps. Not on the ceiling. Not on a recording. On my floor. Coming down my hallway. Slow. Controlled. Familiar. My body went cold. My hands tightened around my phone so hard it hurt. The footsteps stopped just outside the living room entry. The silence that followed was heavier than anything else. I could feel it pressing against my skin. Then, from the hallway, a voice spoke. Not loud, not whispered, just close. It was my voice, but older, tired. "Don't make it harder," it said. I couldn't move. Every part of me was locked. The voice continued, calm, almost gentle. "You keep looking at the cameras like they're going to save you, like proof changes anything." My mouth opened, but no sound came out. In the doorway, a shape appeared. My silhouette, but slightly wrong in posture, shoulders set differently, head tilted like it was listening to the room's emptiness. The hall light flickered once. The figure stepped into the edge of living room light. It was me. Not perfectly me. More like me after years of insomnia, after months without sunlight, after carrying something heavy behind the eyes. The jacket it wore was mine, too. I recognized it suddenly. A jacket I'd lost 2 years ago in another city, left behind at a bar and never found. I remembered being annoyed about it for a week, then forgetting. Seeing it now felt like seeing a piece of my past pulled forward into the present. The older me looked at me like I was the stranger. Then it smiled again. "It's always the first week that's the hardest," it said, as if we were discussing a job. I finally found my voice, thin and shaking. "What are you?" The older me blinked slowly. "I'm the part that leaves," it said, "and I'm the part that comes back." "That makes no sense," I whispered. "It didn't for me either," it said. "Not at first." My eyes flicked to my phone screen. The camera feeds were still glitching, frozen on distorted frames. The older me followed my gaze. "They don't like being watched," it said, almost conversationally. "Not the way you do it." "Who?" My throat hurt. The older me stepped closer. Its movements were calm, controlled, like it had practiced walking in this apartment more times than I had. "The place," it said. "The time. The routine. Call it whatever makes you sleep." "You two," it said. "It wants something to you two," it said. "It wants something to go out, something to return, like breathing, like a pulse, like proof it can move through a door without touching it." My skin crawled. "So you're not real." The older me smiled wider, but there was sadness in it now. "I'm real enough to stand in front of you," it said. "I'm real enough to keep the schedule." "What schedule?" I asked, though I already knew. 3:12, it said gently. "Every night. You heard it before you saw it, didn't you? The way you woke up without knowing why. The way the air changed a minute before. Your body learned before your mind did." My stomach twisted. I remembered the thickening air, the weird quiet, my heartbeat at 3:10. "I don't understand," I whispered. "You will," it said. "That's the part you can't avoid." It stepped closer again, until the distance between us felt wrong, intimate, like standing too close to a mirror. "You think you live alone?" it said. "That's what you tell yourself, because it makes the apartment feel safe. But you don't live alone. You live with what time does to you in a place like this." I couldn't look away from its eyes. Up close, they didn't glow the way they did on camera. In real life, they looked normal, which was worse because it meant the glow had been for the cameras, for the recording, for the watching. "You're going to stop watching," the older me said. "No," I whispered automatically. It tilted its head. "You will," it said, patient. "Because watching makes you late. It makes you resist. It makes you try to change locks and set traps. That's not what this is." I swallowed. "Then what is it?" The older me's smile faded. For the first time, it looked tired in a real way, like it carried something heavy. "It's a handoff," it said. My skin went cold. "A what?" "A handoff," it repeated. "From the version of you that still thinks this is happening to him, to the version of you that knows he's part of it." I shook my head hard, like I could shake the words loose. "No." The older me lifted its hand slowly, palm open, not threatening. "Did you ever wonder why the door closes gently?" it asked. "Why it doesn't slam? Why it doesn't wake you? It doesn't want you panicked?" Panic breaks rhythm. It wants calm. It wants routine. I whispered, "Why me?" The older me shrugged slightly. "You installed cameras," it said. "You paid attention. You counted nights. You looked for patterns. You made it real by trying to prove it." My throat tightened. "So, if I hadn't, it would have found someone else," it said softly. "Someone who noticed time. Someone who couldn't let it go." The room felt like it leaned in around us. The air thickened again, like the apartment itself was listening. The older me glanced toward the hallway, toward the front door, as if hearing something I couldn't. "It's almost time," it said. My heart slammed. I looked at my phone. The camera feeds were back, but distorted. The timestamps flickered. 3:11:52, 3:11:53, 3:11:54. I stared at the digits like staring could change them. 3:11:58. The older me stepped back, giving me space like a courtesy. "This is the part where you try to stop it," it said. "Where you say you won't. Where you swear you'll stay awake. Where you think choice matters." My mouth went dry. "Doesn't it?" The older me watched me with something like pity. "It matters," it said, "but not the way you want." 3:12:00. The front door handle turned by itself. In the real apartment. Not on camera. I heard the metal click. The door opened a few inches. The chain was still hanging, but the door opened anyway, like the chain wasn't there. Cold hallway air slid into my apartment like a breath. The older me's eyes softened. "There," it said, quietly. "See? It opens when it's time. It closes when it's done." "That's the rule." The door opened wider, and for a second I saw something beyond it that wasn't the building hallway. Not carpet and dim lights. Something deeper. A darkness that looked like a corridor with no walls. Just distance. Then the view snapped back, and the normal hallway was there again. My knees nearly buckled. The older me moved toward the door calmly, like it had done this 1,000 times. "You're leaving," I rasped. It looked back at me. "So are you," it said. "No," I whispered. But my body didn't believe me. My muscles felt strange, light and heavy at once, like they were waiting for a command. The older me stepped into the doorway and paused, turning toward the living room camera on the shelf. It looked straight into the lens and smiled, slow and deliberate. Then it stepped out. The door closed gently behind it. Silence settled instantly, thick and complete. My phone buzzed in my hand. Motion detected. Front door camera. 3:12 a.m. I didn't open it. I didn't need to, because I was already standing. I didn't remember standing up. One moment I was on the couch. The next my feet were on the hallway floor, my body facing the front door, like it had somewhere to be. I tried to sit down. My legs didn't move. I tried to turn away. My shoulders resisted, like they were locked. The bedroom door behind me opened softly. I heard a step inside my apartment that was not mine. I felt it more than heard it, like pressure shifting through the floor. A presence behind me, close. The same patient calm I'd seen in the older me's face. A thought came into my mind. Not a voice, not words spoken aloud, just certainty. Don't fight the rhythm. My body moved one step forward, then another. Calm, controlled, familiar. I walked down the hallway toward the front door. The door handle turned under my hand before my fingers fully closed around it, as if the door recognized me, as if it had been waiting. The door opened. Cold air touched my face. I stepped out into the building hallway. And for a split second, in the corner of my vision, I saw the darkness corridor again, the deeper space behind the normal hallway, like a second layer of reality that only opened on schedule. Then the door closed gently behind me. I stood in the building hall, breathing hard, finally fully awake, my mind screaming at my body to turn around. But I didn't. Because somewhere behind me, inside my apartment, I heard movement. Not footsteps this time. A soft shuffle, like someone getting into bed. A sigh. A sound that was too close to comfort. I forced myself to turn my head toward my apartment door. It looked normal, plain, closed, silent. Then my phone buzzed again. Motion detected. Bedroom camera, 3:15 a.m. I stared at the notification without opening it. I already knew what it would show. The door opening again. Someone walking back inside. Someone returning. And when I finally did open the clip later, hours later in the trembling daylight, it showed exactly what I feared. My apartment door opening, the older me stepping inside, walking calmly down the hallway, past the cameras, into the bedroom, and lying down in my bed like it belonged there. Then it looked at the bedroom camera one last time and mouthed something so slowly, there was no way to misread it. Your turn. I don't remember walking back inside. I don't remember unlocking my own door or climbing into my own bed. What I remember is waking up at 7:14 a.m. with my phone buzzing on the nightstand, sunlight barely reaching the floor, and a notification at the top of the screen that made my stomach turn cold before I even opened it. Motion detected. Front door camera. 3:12 a.m. And when I tapped the clip, the hallway was gray and grainy and quiet, and the front door opened slowly from the inside, and someone walked out of my apartment, wearing a dark jacket, moving calmly, turning their head just before leaving frame, so their eyes caught the infrared light, bright and reflective. My eyes. Not exactly mine anymore. Older, tired, and smiling like someone who finally understood the schedule, because I still live alone. But every night at 3:12 a.m., someone leaves my apartment. And a few minutes later, someone comes back. And the bed is always warm in the morning, like it was never empty at all, just waiting for the next version of me to take their turn.